folks. We're right smack dab in the middle of the semester, and we have arrived at Module 5. We made the switch in the last module to this new set of reinforcement databases, and we'll be continuing with those in this module. Module 5 brings in some snazzy form tools and skills that you'll be able to use, and you'll like the posh that you can add to databases. You'll also recognize some of the things that you'll be creating because you probably are online shoppers, and actually if you shop on Amazon or any place and have to make options and choose what size you want or what color of an item you want, you're choosing from a database. So all of those items, the form, the receipt that's generated, all of that comes from a database system. It was not Access, but it is a system that works just like Access. It's a relational database system. So we're going to be going through that. Module 5 is going to create forms and subforms using multiple tables. So now we're going to combine controls from the two table objects that we have in each database and create these really snazzy forms. They're going to have pictures in them. They're going to have check boxes. They're going to have all kinds of features that will look familiar to you and that you will find attractive to work with which to work. Students really like this module, so I hope you'll find that that's your experience. So some of the things we're going to do is you're going to start working with input masks. So input masks are pre-formatted areas for data. So for instance, you can do an input mask for a telephone number, which will already have the parentheses for the area code and the spaces available for the number with the dash included. There are input masks for zip codes, so you could have the regular five-digit zip code, or there even is an option for the 10 character, which is the 5, the dash, and then the 4 remaining characters. You are going to update some fields to make them more flexible. You're going to change the way some columns and rows look in each of the tables. You're going to, as I said, there'll be some subforms. So that means there'll be some forms embedded within the form that you're going to create. And then you're going to make some additions to the form, kind of personalize, so to speak, the title, font choices, and the weights of the fonts, and the kerning or the spacing between the characters. We're going to go through learning how to expand the spacing between the characters. And you're going to make the form very usable, user-friendly. That's really the goal. You're going to add some yes/no fields and like a check box. And you're going to learn how to upload objects into a form that allow the user to see pictures of the account managers, and also to open documents that relate to what the account holders or customers might want to know about the account manager. So you're going to learn a lot in this chapter. This is a fun module. By the time you get to the last reinforcement exercise, you should have enough practice to sail through setting these up. Basically, you're going to make some subtle changes, but not a lot of output difference in this module. Again, please refer to the original document that I provided at the very top of the course with the check sheet option, so that you know what I'll be expecting and on which you'll be graded for this module. So you will have again the Pratt Labs Associates, and it comes March 2nd, and then the following week you'll have the 3 reinforcement labs 1, 2, and 3. The discussion forums due on that same day, March 9th. And the exam will be due the following Sunday. No change in the schedule for this week. So let's take a look, or for this module. Let me mention, you have the data files here. You'll want to make sure that you download those and put them within a data file folder within the Module 5 folder, as you have been the practice you've hopefully already established throughout the course. Let's take a look at what you can expect to see from this module. So first of all, you see there's a lot of data files here. These are, you got some Excel worksheets, some Word documents, you got picture files, and all of these support the Pratt Last and also the reinforcement exercises. You'll find out that you'll use some of these pictures interchangeably. They're just generic pictures. The ones that don't have names on them, that are pick 1, pick 2, pick 3, and 4, you'll use them over and over for the varying reinforcement exercises. But let's take a look at Pratt Last. I have opened this within the last 24 hours, and so we will not find, and this Pratt Last for this module will take a longer time to open when you open it for the first time. But I don't have the enable content because I was in the document. In the spreadsheet. I'm sorry, guys. I was in the database just a few hours ago. So you see we have the same two tables. You will notice that I have reduced or closed the query list because we will not be creating any queries in this module. The last time we added queries was in module 3. So I just reduced it so I can see everything. But one of the things you will be learning how to make forms look more uniform. So you will generate this account financial form. You see how nice it looks. All the fields are the same size when you go through each data record. So one of the little slick tools you'll learn is we'll be using the layout tab, the layout view. When we get to module 7, you'll be using the design view. I like it the best, as I do with the module 6 for the reports, because it gives you the freedom to really move things around and make the form look like the way you want it to look and make it more appealing to your user. So let me just show you this trick. So I'm in layout view now, which means I can change things. So I could move this title around if I wanted to. If I wanted to move these things, I could do that. But I'm going to select this one item, and then I'm going to hold the shift key and select the bottom one, which will select the whole row. And now I'm just going to make this a little narrower, and you see it changed all of them. And then you can look at the difference. So that's one of the little tools you'll learn. Layout view is very friendly. You'll like it a lot. I'm going to close this and not save the change. Remember, the database will only ask you to save if you're making a structural change, so I'm not going to save that. But you're going to create in each one of these a master form. And for this database, you're going to create the account manager master form, and it's going to, when you go through the process, you're going to create a sub form, and that sub form will then be added over here. In this case, you have the account manager master form, and the sub form is called the accounts of the account manager. This will make sense to you once I open the master form. So this is the master form. You can see you see the title has had the font choice changed, and also the kerning or the spacing between characters is expanded. You can see the labels here are etched. It looks like there's an etching around each one, and the font is blue and bold, and the field, the controls are sunken. And you're going to create this. Here's a checkbox. All of this, by the way, is inside the table. So the first thing you'll do is update the table. Once you update the table, it'll be easy to create the form. So let me just close this right now and open the table and show you what you'll be adding. So to the account manager table, they're going to have you do some things. You're going to auto fit the rows. The rows. And you're going to add this PHR certification. I'm going to expand it so I can see the entire. In fact, I'm going to auto fit all of these. I think those are the only two that needed auto fitting. And you're going to create, this is the first time we'll be using a long text field, but this is a long text field, and it just wraps differently and is preferred over the short text field for long sentences, or this could have a paragraph in it, but this is a special skills field, and it's going to be the first time you use a long text field. And then you're going to insert some upload what we call OLE objects, and these are going to be the pictures, and you're going to be instructed which pictures to use. And you're also going to add some attachments. That's what that little paper clip is for. In this case, you see there are 2 attachments, none here, 1 here, none here. So that's what you're going to do to the table, and I'm going to change those column widths. And now let's look back at the form. Oh, I opened the wrong one. So here's what they look like. This is the account manager number 31. Here's her picture. Here's the long text that details her skills. And here are the attached files. If I double click that, you'll get a box for you to look at the attachments. And it tells you how to operate. It says double click to open. So we're going to upload 2 attachments for her. One is a document with a list of her accounts and some information on her accounts. And then another that's a spreadsheet that is a list of potential accounts. And once you highlight it, you just click open and do that. I'll show you one right quick. And enable editing, and you see it's just a regular document. We're going to close that. And alright, so you're going to be using those. And then down here you would just go through the record, so you advance to each one of the account managers. Account manager 35, account manager 42, and then the last one is number 58. So in each one there is this subform right here, and it's going to show the accounts that account manager account manager takes care of. And in this case there's 6 of them. You want to make sure that you follow the directions clearly. I should be able to see all of the information here without a scroll bar at the bottom of this window. So make sure you follow the directions carefully on how to do that, and you maintain that skill all the way through the reinforcements. So that's basically, let me show you what when you go through and build this and create this sub form, let me show you what it looks like by itself. And there it is. And here's where you would size it. You would want to make sure it auto fits, and you size it so it will fit inside that window. So the sub form fits inside the master form window. And if you see, it lists all 15. But if you do this correctly, then it will separate into which accounts go with which account manager. Okay, that's all for Pratt Last. Let's take a look at Lab 1, Horticulture for You. And again, there's only a few. There's one query for this one. It's in step 6 of your directions. And the forms, here's a sales rep master form. And it, again, you see we've done some things with the font. In this case, we have a raised label and a sunken control. And we did in the table, we added a long text field, we added a picture, and we also created a sub form for each of the 4 sales reps. Here's the sub form called Customers of Sales Reps. This looks, by now you can see, highly repetitive. And let's look at the table itself. And here's the table. And we added this yes no field, we added this long text field, and the picture field. Okay, for Lab 2, you'll also be doing a query in this for this database. Let's look at the vendor table. That's where we made the changes. Let's see. So the only thing we did here is we added 2 checkbox fields for returns and online ordering, and we also added an attachment field. You see, we uploaded attachments for all 3 of the vendors. And then we're going to create a vendor master form. And here, the title, we've done something different. We put a shadowed border around it. You know, when you get to doing these assignments, it'll tell you what to do, but if you want to jazz it up some, I won't care. I'll be more impressed that you are feeling some freedom to use the skills that you're picking up to maintain the database. So there's nothing new here. This works the same way, the cost history. Now, in this assignment, they're going to have you make a change to the cost history. When you do that and go into this spreadsheet, make sure that you save the change so that when I grade it, I'm going to be looking to make sure that you updated the change. I'm going to see, let me look and see what step that's on. That's, I'm pretty sure it's in this one. AC, let's see what step that's on. Step 6 is going to have you open the cost history and change the cost for one of the items to a different cost. And then you're going to change that in the workbook and close it. And when you submit the assignment to me, I will be able to see that you made the change. You want to do that because I deduct points if you don't do that. And I want to make sure you know how to do it. So, and of course, here's the sub form that's inside this form. It's called Items of Vendor. And you can see it is right over here. And then let's take a look at the last one. And we'll look at the Marketing Analyst table. So we have added some fields. We added a picture field and a notes field, long text field and an OLE object field. So by now, as I said, by the time you get to the last reinforcement, you'll be pretty well versed. You will also be creating a query here in step D. That's on AC 288. And you should easily and look, don't make this hard. When you create, it's going to have you create the query. Just remember to use your operators and you won't have any problem. Okay, let's take a look at the master form. Let me spread this out so you can see the title. Master form, these are not new. This is a mixture of some things we've done already. We've got a shadow box here. We've got raised labels and sunken controls. You got the note field, you got the picture, and you also have the subform. And we can just cycle through to each one of. Okay. And that's it. No reports this time. Plenty of that coming up in the next module. I love module 6. Okay, I think that's it, folks. These videos are getting shorter because you guys are getting more savvy. And I think that's it. Have any problem and need any assistance, please reach out to me.